We're going to sit in on a meeting of a neighborhood improvement association. Groups, such as this one, gather regularly to discuss the future actions and policies of their organizations. For all except the most informal meetings, such groups are usually made up of a presiding officer who may be the chairperson or the president of the group. Other officers, and of course, the individual members.
The meeting will come to order.
Meetings such as this one seek out the will of the majority while giving the minority a fair hearing. Clubs, businesses, schools, churches, and governments depend upon conducting their business in an orderly manner. In an orderly manner? How did all this happen so fast? Pardon me. Excuse me. Please. May I? Quiet! Thank you. Madam President, what do you say we start again? Remember, there is a definite order of business to follow.
Now?
Now.
The meeting will please come to order.
So far, so good.
Will the secretary please read the minutes of the last meeting?
The regular monthly meeting of the Southside Improvement Association was held on the second Tuesday.
Thank you. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? If there are no corrections, the minutes will stand approved as read by the secretary. And now may we have the treasurer's report?
Treasurer's report, November 13th. After paying bills approved at our last meeting, at which time it was...
Are there any reports from special committees?
Madam President,
Ms. Kennedy.
the Social Committee wishes to report that we've completed plans for our annual awards banquet.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Old or unfinished business is now in order. Discussion of the motion to send delegates to the seminar in Denver was interrupted by adjournment. Would anyone care to resume the discussion?
Yes. Madam President. Yes, I still say what I did at the last meeting. We can't afford this.
No, we can't. We have money in the Treasury.
I think we should send the officers and pay their expenses.
Oh, of course, why not? You're an officer.
Whoa, hold it, break it up. You did it again.
You're right. Sorry.
I should think you would be. In the last few seconds, you've broken almost every rule for stating and discussing a main motion. That must be what got you in trouble before. So, let's try it again, starting with the president's call for unfinished business.
Unfinished business is now in order. Discussion of the motion to...
Do you know the exact wording of the motion? Then you should ask the secretary to read it, because it's essential that a motion is correctly understood by everyone present.
Discussion of the motion to send delegates to the seminar in Denver was interrupted by adjournment. Will the secretary please read the motion?
It was moved and seconded that we should consider sending 3 delegates to the annual convention. The motion was made by Samuel Decker and seconded...
Do I hear any discussion of the motion as read by the secretary?
Madam
Madam President.
Mr. Decker.
I think that we should designate 3 people to attend the seminar in Denver.
I still think we should send 3 officers.
Yes, that makes more
Madam President!
No?
No.
Oh.
You see, as the presiding officer, you never take sides or state your opinion. Your duty is to stimulate and to moderate, not to argue.
But...
Yes? Yes?
Nothing.
I still feel that we should designate 3 people to attend the seminar.
Do I hear any further discussion?
Madam President,
Mrs. Brown?
I'm dead set against sending delegates to this meeting. It's a waste of time and money, and all they do at those seminars is talk, talk, talk.
She's right. Let's use our money and our efforts for some constructive action instead of more yakking.
Madam President, I demand to be recognized.
Mr. Decker?
It seems to me that we'd be wasting our efforts and money if we don't send delegates to the seminar. If we jump into some big local project without first finding out how other groups have handled the same problem, we could make some costly mistakes. Let's learn from the experience of others. Let's plan.
Decker, all you want to do is stand
Excuse
and talk about
me.
it.
Madam President, you've just lost control of the discussion and the meeting.
Really? I thought the debate was just starting to get good.
Not if your objective is to hold orderly and open discussions of the issues to reach a fair agreement.
Well, where did I go wrong?
Go back to Mrs. Brown's comments. As soon as she finished talking, you allowed Mr. Green to speak out without being recognized by the chair.
I shouldn't have let him do that, huh?
Right. And your second mistake was in permitting two speakers in a row to present the same side of the argument. When there are clear-cut sides in a debate, you should alternate the pro and con speakers so both sides have a fair chance to present their views.
That makes sense.
The rules for conducting a meeting do make sense.
Anything else?
Yes. You made another error when you recognized Mr. Decker for the second time.
What was wrong with that?
He had already had the chance to state his views. The chairperson should make sure that before anyone is recognized to speak for a second time, that anyone else waiting to speak has a chance.
Oh, I get it. So during debate, the chairperson alternates between pro and con speakers and gives everyone a chance to be heard before anyone speaks twice.
You've got it. The other point to keep in mind is that the chairperson is responsible for making sure the speaker's remarks are germane to the subject. If a speaker wanders off into a subject that's not pertinent, you have to get the discussion back on the track.
Right. I'd like to try that again.
Fine. Go right ahead.
Madam President.
Madam President.
The chair recognizes Mr. Kennedy.
Madam President, I feel that we should investigate what other groups have gained.
Is there any further discussion? It has been moved and seconded that we send 3 delegates to the seminar in Denver. All those in favor, please raise your right hands. 9. Those opposed, the same sign? 5.
5.
The motion is carried. New business is now in order.
Madam President,
Mr. Decker?
I move that $200 per delegate be set aside from our treasury to help cover expenses for our delegates at the seminar.
I second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the sum of $200 per person be set aside from our treasury to help cover delegate expenses during the seminar. Is there any discussion?
Madam President,
Mr. Palmer?
I move to amend the motion by striking the words per person and the words to help cover delegate expenses at the seminar, and by inserting the words for a neighborhood picnic.
I'll second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the main motion before the House be amended.
Madam President, I rise to a point of order.
You what? Oh, yes. Please state your point of order.
My point is that the amendment now proposed is not germane to the main motion and is therefore out of order. A neighborhood picnic has nothing to do with the subject of paying delegates' expenses.
Madam President, my amendment deals with the expenditure of funds and is therefore not out of order.
Mr. Palmer, you have not been recognized by the chair, nor is the point of order debatable unless the chair refers it to the group. Now let's see. The question is whether the subject of the main motion is paying our delegates' expenses or the expenditure of funds. It seems clear that the proposer of the main motion was concerned with delegate expenses, not how we spend our money.
Exactly.
The amendment last proposed is out of order.
Madam President,
Mr. Palmer?
I move that we adjourn.
Now, wait a minute. What about the rest of you? Are you just going to sit there
Madam
and
President, the motion to adjourn is a privilege motion and is not debatable.
It has been moved that we adjourn.
Shame on you, Palmer. Oh, that was a sharp move, all right. Your amendment was ruled out, so you got mad. And since you know a few tricks of parliamentary procedure, you decided to foul up the works.
Well,
You can do just that if you decide to, because parliamentary law is set up to protect the rights of all, even the dissenters.
Well, yes, you see, that's why I...
No, it isn't. You were angry. You weren't interested in the rights of the group as a whole, as much as in your own wounded pride.
Madam President,
Mr. Palmer?
I retract my motion to adjourn.
A motion can be withdrawn by its mover before it has been seconded and stated by the chair. The main motion is thus open for discussion once again.
At the seminar.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Is there any further discussion on the original motion?
Madam President,
Mr. Palmer?
I move to amend the motion by striking the words $200 and inserting in their place $100.
I'll second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the motion before the group be amended by striking out the words $200 and inserting in their place $100. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, the same sign. The motion is carried. Unless there is any further discussion, we will now vote on the main motion as amended. Will the secretary please read the amended motion?
It has been moved and seconded that the sum of $100 per person be set aside from our treasury to help cover delegate expenses during the seminar.
All those in favor, please raise your right hands. All those opposed, the same sign. The motion is carried. Do I hear any further new business?
Madam President,
Ms. Taylor.
the nominating committee is ready to report on our recommendation for the position of regional coordinator.
And what is the recommendation of the committee?
We nominate Ralph Scanlon.
Thank you. Ralph Scanlon's name has been placed in nomination for the office of regional coordinator. Do I hear any nominations from the floor?
Madam President,
Mr. Martinez.
I nominate Joyce Leatherman.
I'll second that motion.
A nomination is not a motion, so a second is not required, Blanche.
Sorry, I didn't know that.
That's all right. Do I hear any other nominations?
Madam President,
Mrs. Miller?
I would like to place the name of Bob Seeley in nomination.
Bob Seeley has been nominated. Do I hear any further nominations?
Madam President, I move that the nominations be closed.
It has been moved that the nominations be closed. Do I hear a second?
I second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the nominations be closed. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, the same sign. The nominations are closed. We will now proceed with a vote.
Madam President,
Yes?
you have 3 candidates for the same office.
Yes?
Well, it's very possible that no one of them will receive over half the votes. Do you know whether a candidate can be elected with a simple plurality, or is a majority required?
I don't know. Which is it?
Well, that varies from one organization to another. I'd suggest that you check your bylaws to see what the rule is in your organization.
We'll do that. Thanks for the tip. Let's check that. We will now vote on the candidates for the office of regional coordinator. All those in favor of Ralph Scanlon, please raise
If the bylaws are silent on the question of majority or plurality vote, a runoff vote of the top 2 candidates will have to be taken if none of the candidates receives a majority on the first ballot.
Ralph Scanlon is our new regional coordinator. Do I hear any further new business? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Madam President,
Mr. Palmer.
I move that we adjourn.
I second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, the same sign. The meeting is adjourned.
That was very well done. But just to be sure we remember them, let's run through the most important steps for conducting a meeting one more time, shall we?
That's a good idea.
First, a meeting has a definite order of business, which includes calling the meeting to order.
The meeting will come to order.
The regular monthly meeting of the...
Reading the minutes of the last meeting.
held on the second Tuesday.
Hearing regular reports.
Treasurer's report, November 13th.
The Social Committee wishes
Hearing reports of the committees.
completed plans for our annual awards banquet.
Taking up unfinished business.
What other groups have gained by attending such a conference.
Taking up new business.
$100 per delegate be set aside from our treasury to help cover expenses.
And adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
Now, let's take one more look at the life history of a main motion.
I move that $200
The motion is made.
be set aside from our treasury to help cover expenses for our delegates at the seminar.
Seconded.
I second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the sum of $200 per person be set aside from our treasury.
Stated to the group.
Delegate expenses during the seminar. Is there any discussion?
Discussed if necessary.
I'm dead set against sending delegates to this meeting. It's a waste of time and money.
Amended if necessary.
I move to amend the motion by striking.
The motion is restated.
It has been moved and seconded that the sum of $100 per person be set aside from our treasury to help cover delegate
There is a vote.
during the seminar.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand.
And the results of the vote are announced.
The motion is carried. Do I hear any further new business? I think we've got it now. And thanks for helping us out.
Well, that's all right. I hoped you wouldn't mind my butting in.
Not at all.
And I, for one, am glad you did.
Then you're not upset, Mr. Palmer?
Well, I was, but... Well, I was out of order. I knew a few tricks and I used them. I thought it would be fun.
It can be, but you'll find that the rules are more enjoyable when they're used to get the job done.
Yes.